All right, it looks like we are live now, finally. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to, without a doubt, another Tech Tuesday. Finally got things going there. Had a little tense moment getting this thing off the ground, but for those of you who are with us now, we're live. We've upgraded a little bit. We've gone to YouTube Live, where we now have the ability to really add a little more to this Tech Tuesday broadcast. Today, we're actually going to be running our first Tech Tuesday under YouTube Live, where we're going to dissect a live dashboard. This is an executive dashboard that we've created and recently put on our website. And what I wanted to do was take some time to illustrate how we can actually digest this particular dashboard. So you can see underneath the hood how you can take your own data, plug it right into SAP dashboards, and then visualize that using some of our location intelligence technology. So pretty nifty little dashboard here. So let's go ahead and see how we can actually build this thing. So I'm going to toggle over here, so we'll take me off screen for a moment. And the beauty of this is that the dashboard itself was built from the ground up so that, yes, we have these custom regions or countries or territories that we're worried about, but we set it up to where you can literally plug and play your own data. Now, that isn't without a little bit of work and a little bit of configuration, but I think we've laid this out pretty good to make your analysis as easy as possible. So all of the data in this dashboard originates from one tab. So this is the actual query that we would run and return from our BI system. So we have a territory, we have a region, and that funnels down to the country level. Now, in this case, my regions and territories roll up very nicely from country. This could be county, state, region, or it could be state, country, territory. I mean, these geographic grains could be whatever you want. I do have a single time dimension in here, though we're not really using this. So if you wanted to dynamically change in the map some kind of time dimension, level breakdown. So in other words, I want just the distinct territories and the total revenue, profit, and operating system. So if I click on our little territory filtered summary, I go to source data. So source data is the query source data. I have my destination range, which is going to be a range of cells right here where I get my summarized output. And then if we preview data, you can see that filtered summary is automatically aggregating the data based on the first column. And that's using this summary calculation. So in other words, we're going to summarize by column 1. You can see there's also a filter here based on which product that we select. But we'll come back to that in a minute. So we do the same thing for region. So I can get my regional breakdown, my second column here. And then we finally do the same breakdown and aggregation by country. So now I get all my countries. And so what we end up with on this second tab, go back to my spreadsheet. So let's go to spreadsheet. What we end up with is the second tab here, where I get the results of each one of my filtered summaries. So in my spreadsheet, I get a breakdown of territory, region, and country using my data, my original data from my query. Come into play. So we have on our bar charts tab, go back to the spreadsheet. So on the tab that we've assigned for bar charts, you can see that I've got 3 columns, one that filters territory, one that filters region, and one that filters country. So during the dashboard utilization, as I make selections in my map, it's dynamically filtering the data down using filtered summary. So filtered summary is basically managing all of the data aggregation and filtering during runtime to give us this analysis that we want. Now, line chart, we're not really doing anything special. Given that this is a demo, what we did not want to do is load raw data for every single month and every single combination of selections. So instead, what we've done for our demo is we've set up the ranges that you would need for the different geographic ranges, territory, region, and country. And we would expect that if you were actually porting this into a live dashboard, that you would actually use dynamic queries to populate the line chart. So in other words, based on the country, region, or territory and other selections, you would dynamically filter and only return, let's say 12 to, I'm bringing in monthly data. You could bring in weekly. Take a look at the map real quick, and let's spend a little bit of time here. Because this map is really the hub that is controlling the entire dashboard. So if we go into my map property here, you can see that we have 4 layers of information. We have the territory, we have the region, and we have the country. So these 3 layers of information, in addition to some stores here that, for the sake of this demo, I'm not really going to dive into to keep it as simple as possible. But we have these 3 layers of information. Each one of them are powered by a shapefile. And so if we look at our shapefiles tab, you can see that we have 3 columns of data, one for territories, one for regions, one for countries. And so each one of these layers uses a shapefile to actually draw the locations on the map. And we also have some raw data. You can see that I didn't really spend a lot of time cleaning up these shapefiles, but you can see at the bottom is where we have our aggregates. So Western Europe, Asia Pacific Americas, South America, Western Europe, USA East. I'm sure USA West is somewhere up in here. I'm not sure where it is, but basically we have and wiring up values. Now let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about wiring up values, because that's a really important aspect of this particular dashboard. So if I'm filtering down the data and it looks like this, and I want to dynamically display revenue, profit, or operating expenses, how do we dynamically change that measure? Because the map can only look at one measure at a time. So rather than binding to one of these cells, what we have is another column of data off to the left-hand side where we're actually capturing the current selected measure. And that's where this drop-down comes into play. So in other words, what I'm doing is I'm selecting revenue, profit, or operating system, sticking it into this right-hand column, and that's where the map values are bound to. So if you were to look at each one of these layers and look at the values, I have this column off to the left-hand side that displays the values. And so because the map is looking at this, we can then drive our heat map logic, which I'll get to in a second. So this is a good point to interject where this drop-down comes into play, the revenue. So revenue has labels, right? So we've linked our measures. And what we're doing is we're in insertion. So if I'm inserting the territory measure data here, what I need to do is actually calculate my heat map logic. So let me go back to the spreadsheet. I'm sorry, let me go back to the map. So let's look at, actually instead of territories, let's look at regions here. So regions are using this values for each region on the map. If we go to alerts and go to region, I've enabled alerts. But what I've done is, because we want to paint heat maps, in other words, I want to color the locations based on the intensity or based on the value, what I've done is I've bound my limits so that they can be dynamic. And what we do is we take the minimum, the max, and the median to give us a nice linear range of data to then draw our heat maps. So this is the limits, and the colors are driven by this range here. And that's basically how we get the dynamic heat maps to run. And so really, when we run this dashboard, we're only doing a couple of things. One is we're using filtered summary to break down the data and get it into the format that we want it. So we're filtering data down by regions. We're also filtering data down by this dimension to get our charts. Then we're drawing the map layers go into. That's extremely helpful is top and bottom stores. So we actually have another layer in our map where bringing in the top and bottom performers for each geographic grain, and then aggregating them as we're navigating through the map. So I didn't really go through that because I didn't want to completely lose you guys today. Maybe that's another webinar to be had. But very powerful analysis if you're thinking about an executive or a territory manager who wants to not only see how they're performing, but also look compared to other regions or territories, and also see their top and bottom performers at a more detailed level. So with that, that pretty much wraps up our first New Tech Tuesday. I really appreciate you guys who hung in there and joined us today. Certainly as we move forward, we'll get these things started on time, work out the couple glitches we had this morning, and this thing should be recorded now and live for you all to get a hold of. So thank you guys again. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you guys for the next Tech Tuesday.